Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Beacon of Light podcast this evening. My name is April Tribe Juke, and I am here with the most beautiful Shana Gourdine. And tonight we're going to be discussing something that you can see running down here on the ticker and a little bit behind you as well, which is really beautiful, is called Unveiled Pieces of a Broken Mask. Now, many of us have had masks on in our life, and we're going to get to this big discussion. But before we do, I really would like to share with all of you some exciting things that are happening right now. Tomorrow, we have our big conference that is occurring at 7:30, same time frame, same channel. And we're going to be meeting with Linda Schlitz. And that conversation is going to be all about healing and her pathway in what she has done for her life. We're really excited about that. So everybody come to that conference tomorrow night, same time frame, and we look forward to seeing you there. Looks like we've got some people showing up here, got some love on the board. That is great. That's fantastic. So again, my name is April Tribe Juke, and I am broadcasting down here in Kyle, Texas. And Shana, where are you broadcasting from this evening?
I'm in Troy, New York.
Excellent. Awesome. So we've got ourselves kind of spread across the country. This is a global event. So everybody who shows up here live, let's go ahead and share those comments. Tell us where you're from, and let's get this ball rolling. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, is ready. All right. So Shana, tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll kind of get this conversation rolling.
Oh, a little about me is that I'm a two-time author. I'm also a motivational speaker, a podcast host, a life coach, advocate for domestic violence, advocate for chronic illness. I'm also a spoken word artist, a poet, a magazine writer, and a woman with many hats.
Many, many, many hats. I don't know if I have enough fingers to list it off. There it is. Fantastic. It seems like once you found your message, you're making sure on as many platforms and as many styles as possible, you're sharing it. And that is beautiful. So let's take a look at this book. You say you're a second-time author. And the book we're discussing tonight, as you can see running down there on the ticker, is Unveiled Pieces of a Broken Mask. But you have a book prior to this. So tell us a little bit about that first book, and then we're going to dive deep into this book.
Okay, my first book is called The Mask Behind the Mask, which is a book of poetry and spoken words that I put together for people to love all their imperfections, despite what they're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. I wrote that book because a lot of times we carry so many faces. There's a whole nother face that we hide behind because we're so afraid of judgment, shame, or just people looking at us a certain way, or we're dealing with stuff in our lives. We just happen to put on a face to make it seem like we're okay. And like with me, I carried the face of, dealing with domestic violence. Then I also carried the face of the fact is that I deal with 3 different health conditions. I deal with fibromyalgia. I have chronic nerve pain. I have ankylospondylitis, which is arthritis in my spine and goes to the rest of my joints like rheumatoid arthritis. And then I have kidney disease, which is called polycystic kidney disease. So the other part of carrying a mask, you never know what that person is truly dealing with on a day-to-day basis. So sometimes it's just a kind word might help somebody that's going through a hard time as well. So, the mask behind the mask is basically to help people to just love all the imperfections despite of what they're dealing with on a daily basis, and just to empower, inspire, and to motivate them to be better and be a better version of themselves.
That is beautiful. When we reveal that mask, take off the other mask, we really don't know what's happening behind everything. And, I have a little saying that says to love, 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 and not judge, 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 because really we don't know. And we've all sat on the opposite side of a judgment, right? Mm-hmm. And we have that thing of like, oh, if you only knew. You wouldn't have said ABC, you wouldn't have done it. And so when we extend that same courtesy to others, it's just being kind. It's being loving. And I love that the first book is a book of poetry, because capturing the words in a style which really paints is something I think a lot of us might be afraid to do, but we connect with it because of how the imagery really pops out there for so many of us. And so that is a beautiful, beautiful way to approach this. And so if any of you out there have felt that mask of a mask, put it down, share with us. And I'm sure Shana would love to, share with all of you, her experiences with that. So with
Absolutely.
that being said, what are some of the things that you chat about on your podcast Do you talk about poetry? Do you talk about domestic violence? What are some of the things that you really like to connect with people about?
Well, I sit on several different podcasts, but if we go to my Victory of the Mind podcast, which is basically for people to take their time out to be able to do their testimonies. And Victory of the Mind, I created that group as a way of people having a positive place to go to when they can know that their past doesn't define them. So I created Testimonial Tuesdays where I allow people to come and tell their testimony and express where they've been and where they are now. I also have Walking in Your Victory, which is on Inspiring Authors. And there I allow people to come and take a moment to admire and sit in their victory for a second. Because a lot of times we are so busy trying to get to the next step. We don't give ourselves a pat on the back on the little things we do. If you take the other podcasts that I do, which is on Rock Truth, which is Rock Queens, Rock Single, and Rock Bottom starts on April 10th, which I'll be the host for that. That podcast, we pretty much give the true kingdom version of being yourself and just kind of walking in the kingdom strength and treating people right and just not being kind, just, not being nice, being kind and, doing the will of the kingdom.
Beautiful. So there's many avenues which she tries to really share and produce that message for everyone. And that's a beautiful place that we can now connect with you in so many different opportunities. So thank you again for that.
No problem.
So let's talk a little bit about, I love that. Lori says that there is power in our testimonies.
Absolutely.
There is truth to that. You want to share a little bit about what that power might do?
That power does a lot. Like it gives you like the strength to be able to move from situations without feeling that it's still holding you back. Like I had to take my power back in order to be where I'm standing at right now. Like a lot of times when you use your testimony as a way of staring and letting it hold you back and use it to inspire and to heal, I use my testimony as a way to help people through their scars and through their healings, because we all walked a certain storm and all had a tragedy, but it's a way from going from tragedy to triumph instead of sitting in the same mess that we've been in.
Love that. The journey, the action, the progress. I just imagine it really as so many people lining up, clapping, pulling, cheering, encouraging to keep coming. You're not alone on this journey. Anybody that's out there that have experienced any kind of trauma, abuse, anything, you're not alone. You're never alone out there. I know ultimately our Heavenly Father has been with you. Christ has been with you. And us, we have shared something really, really interesting. And so when we share the testimony of what we've overcome through help and support of so many, it helps to lift, because if you only think you're always alone, there's no way that you're going to get to the next level, to take back your power. There's no way that any of that's really going to happen. And so we want to be able to bring that up. We want to be able to share the testimony. We want to be able to know that the things that are coming forward really will come about. So with Shana's second book, The Unveiled, the Pieces of a Broken Mask, it seems like now, as the mask starts to fall off, there are things that we really have to address. And when we address that, it seems like that's the part that's going to bring us back to a place where we really can move forward. The forward motion, the healing motion, the journey that we take really has a place in so many of our hearts. The concept, the idea of wanting to improve, of wanting to not stay in the mess. As Shana said, she said, you don't want to sit in that mess. And it's a choice whether we're going to just sit and hang out there, or if we're able to keep forward motion, moving ahead. Sometimes that movement is in small increment, tiny little steps. Sometimes they feel so small, it's almost like stitching on a dress. Is it really going to make the difference? Is it really going to hold fast? Is it really going to become this beautiful garment? And with every up and down that we have as we're stitching, really, you can see the pattern start to weave out. I'm helping a particular amazing woman with her book at this point. And we have an imagery that's similar to this within that story. And learning how we journey, learning how things are interwoven together. And, sometimes it paints a color that's really deep and rich, or really dark and challenging. I agree. God can make a strong message out of our mess. And that is absolutely true, Lori. The concept of us bringing forward and moving ahead is something that's beyond just a powerful statement. It's real action that creates change. The opportunity for that change, it's always a choice, and it's there daily. The outcome might take a few times at it, a few turns at it, but really, when we don't quit and we just keep going in spite of the fear, or lack of funding, or whatever it is, lack of relationship, every day, if we just keep going, that's when the healing journey really starts to ramp up. And talking about what with Shana, what she has just mentioned about, seeing how you can bring this light and hope to so many people is really empowering. She'll be connecting back with us real quick, and I want to be able to continue forward with this and to not lose the momentum. So, we want her to be able to feel this, and know that at any time coming back on is exactly right. Probably just a little bit of a technical difficulty here. Yes, it is very true. When we pull away our masks, it's a vulnerable time frame. And when we want to really move ahead and move forward, we just have to be able to add and connect. Welcome back, Shana. We're glad that it's okay. We're glad you got it back here.
I had to end up switching to my phone because the computer was just doing something else.
No worries, no worries. So let's get back into this conversation of unveiled pieces of a broken mask. How did you come up with this second title, and what is the story about?
The second title was actually a spinoff of the first book. I decided to create a second book to whereas I now, the first book I told you had a mask on. So now I have to help you break the pieces of the mask that I told you that you had on. So from there, I decided to just also poetry in this book. But with this book, I then added questions for people to then start asking themselves questions to understand their self and learn how to dig a little deeper under the masses that we have and be able to break the things that we're carrying. Because, if we start breaking these cycles, then hurt people can stop hurting people, and it's just a major thing to now to just be able to give them questions. And then I gave them positive affirmations. Then I also went into some more things about myself. I got a little bit more personal in this book and allowed, myself to speak and be right there with the viewers as if I was reading it with them. Then as I continued with the book, I gave them a space of a journal to be able to journal for themselves and be able to understand themselves as they break their pieces of the mask through the book.
Beautiful. In that reflection, in getting now personal, you become very vulnerable at that moment. So it is almost like you have taken off the mask. You're following the same thing you're asking your readers to do. So, right there, that is something that's very powerful, because I think true leadership is within the trenches with us. True leadership is bringing people, and not just, shouting out the orders or being high up on a stage. You're really in the trenches with them, because you've been in there, you've had the experience, and you actually can lead them out, right? It's like an amazing, it's like an amazing guide. When we talk about mountain climbing or anything like that, you've got this big risky adventure you're going on. You could do it alone. Sure, you could have, helps of maps and GPSs. But if you have someone that has experienced the climb, experienced the valleys, experienced the weathering that happens, you mentioned the storms of life, I think I'd go in your group and not try to do this by myself. And that's empowering, and it's freeing at the same time. So can you give us examples of maybe some of the questions that you ask within this book?
Sure, I can. Actually, I have the book sitting right next to me, so I'm gonna actually tell you some of the questions that's in it as I find them. Like one of the questions in there, I said, "How comfortable with your life are you right now?"
Ooh,
Then after
let's
that,
look
I
at
said,
that.
"What?"
How comfortable are you
Then
with your life
are
right
you with
now?
your life right now?
So that's, that word comfort, that's a really interesting
Hmm.
word that you put in there, because I think we're expecting ourselves to kind of give a checklist. Comfort means,
Yes.
dang, I got to really examine this. And am I going to be
Hmm.
honest? Or am I going
Yep.
to, hey, that mask is looking pretty good, I'm just going to put it back on.
Just
Just
put
going to
it back
hide behind there
on.
again.
Got
Okay,
it.
go ahead, continue.
Then another question I asked right after that says, "What change to make? What changes do you want to make to your life?"
Ooh, good question. Again, ref- deep reflection and introspection,
Hmm.
combine those words together to really put out, you're actually telling them this is going to take action, and you have a
Hmm.
choice within it. And so you're really
Yeah.
flipping the table on the victimhood, because victimhood can be very
Hmm.
comfortable, right? Surviving
Yes,
can be
it can
very
be.
comfortable. Like,
Can.
it's a great place to complain and
Hmm.
poor me, right? And it's a
Yep.
necessary part.
I. Hmm.
Right, it's a
Yes.
necessary part. But if you stay there, you're
Hmm.
just sitting in your mess,
Yes.
and you don't make any progress. So these
Absolutely.
are great questions, Shana. These are fantastic. Any other examples that you want to share with us within the book?
Yes. Right after that question, I asked them, "What are the things you value most in your life?"
Oh, awesome. Well, I'm going to share a few of
And then,
mine. Wow,
okay.
that's a great question. I mean, obviously, I'm going to say family. I'm going to say
Hmm.
my Heavenly Father. I'm going to say my relationship, my testimony. But I'm
Hmm.
going to say my drive, like the ambition, the drive. We call it
Hmm.
the tribe drive. So, tribe is my middle
Yep.
name. Some people think, oh, you're just like a group. I'm like, no, actually, it's my maiden name, man. I love it. So,
You know, right?
so yeah. All right. I just had to answer some of those questions. So, all right. Keep
No,
going. Keep
it's
going.
fine. Then I have, so if I went to another part of the book, it says, "How often do you carry your old baggage to your new relationship?"
Ooh. I see a little guilt and shame in that one. Like, who, me? Nah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So then after that question, I asked, "How many times did you forgive yourself before you moved on to another relationship?"
Ooh. That's gonna take a moment to sit and think about that. Nora
Yeah.
says often. That's great. Often. Okay. All right.
Mhm.
So you can see just by some of these examples what is going to be with what you'll meet in this book. It's not just going to
Mhm.
be a flowing story. This is something really to examine and get in it, get dirty with it,
Yeah.
and really figure out what's going to be happening here. And you have lots of
Mhm.
choices. Wow, fantastic. Great power within that. That
Yeah.
is great.
I
So
think it was necessary.
tell me more.
Cause like, all right, me going through domestic violence, I've met a lot of ladies, men, people that have walked this journey. And a lot of them seem like they're still either lost their confidence, they've lost the control, they've, some of them want to go back for financial reasons, or they go back because they feel too comfortable with where they've been and they feel they're missing something. So when I went through my whole transformation and coming to, walking into my purpose and understanding my healing and my forgiving stage and learning how to love myself, I realized that a lot of times people don't go all the way inside. They don't forgive themselves. They don't figure out what makes them happy. They still carry the baggages into the other relationship. They're mad at the world. And how I say, hurt people hurt people. And if we have less people hurting people, we can have more happy people that actually are admiring and being kind to each other.
Yeah, kind. What a simple four-letter word, to be kind to someone. reaching out, helping, holding the door. Beforehand, we would just think common courtesy. It is getting lost and lost even more in today. Isn't that the biggest lie? No, you actually can make a choice to be kind to someone else. And it's shocking, right? When somebody offers that and the other receiving party is not used to it, maybe there's thoughts of, well, what do they want from me now? Or what's in it for
like
them?
what's the intention?
Yes. And it's just like the intention was love. That's it.
And a lot of times that people are on that defenses because they've been dealing with so many trust issues, or they've dealt with people that have did them wrong. They feel that everybody's coming towards them and they have an intention. So that means they're still holding on to things from their past and they haven't let it go yet. So this is why we have to let go the past, let go the baggage, heal, forgive, and start, understanding ourselves and how we can cater to ourselves and heal to be a better version of who we are.
That's right. I love it. Nora says, exactly. I love it. One word answers. She's on it. Boom, boom, boom. Exactly. Precisely. This is the moments that we really need to generate where you do stand out. I talk a lot about becoming a beacon of light. And that beacon is something that when you're in trouble and in the storms of life, the seas of life, you only can see just a pinpoint. Way, way out there. But if you keep focused on it and keep some action moving towards it, right? That healing journey, letting go of the past, you get closer and closer. And pretty soon that pinpoint starts to become a beam, and then it spreads out into a full beacon, and you're called to it. And when you arrive there, you'll notice that it is on an amazing foundation. It wasn't out in the water trying to do a rescue. No, you were drawn to it. You actually left your mess behind because you were drawn towards the beacon. And that's the point. And so sometimes we get in that savior complex of I'm going to help and I'm going to do. And so they jump into those raging waters. And it's like, actually, you would be best to help somebody if you stand planted on a firm foundation, the rock, I call it the rock of Christ, and shine your light outward. People will start to come. And like you say, the masks will start to fall off, because when you stand in truth, it's a very vulnerable place. And when you're honest with yourself, wow, the growth can happen. I mean, you labeled off over 9 different things. Got to hold my hands up so you can see 9 things. You named 9 things at the beginning. And it was because of one decision you made to leave. That led to a next decision to forgive, to make whole, to figure out a healing process. And so it tumbles, right? But it starts with one decision. And now look at you. Look at everything. Right? I mean, look at everything. It's fantastic. So share a little bit about maybe a journey that you've been on with this whole experience that you think our audience would really appreciate knowing.
Absolutely. I can definitely say, like, my journey of coming from trauma to then taking my steps into healing and like just learning the growth, because there's so many stages in healing. Like, my first stage was forgiving myself. And if I couldn't forgive myself, how am I expecting somebody else to sit in the mess that I'm sitting in? So as that process went, I had to learn the parts, the pros and the cons that I actually truly liked or disliked about myself. I had to learn who I truly was and allow myself to trust and feel that I can be whole again through faith and know what, walk into my purpose and get uncomfortable. Because a lot of times the hardest part to be is getting uncomfortable. Because when we're uncomfortable, it's a scary place. And so if I stayed scared, I would have never wrote my book. If I stayed in fear, I would never took the steps to becoming these different things and be on these different platforms that I am. I would never took the time to be the vessel that I am, to use my scars to heal others so that they can take the same walk and path that I took to be happy and be peaceful and choose joy.
Ooh, choose joy. So it just doesn't smack you on the head. You are actually making a choice, a conscious effort and a choice that leads you in that direction. And as silly and as simple as it sounds, you make a choice to be miserable every day too. You
Yep,
make the same
absolutely.
choice. And so if it's that simple, well, then why aren't we choosing joy? Because it's hard, because it's
Because
scary, because what?
they probably, some people might be scared, of what their happiness truly could be. They might fear that, well, if I go into the unknown, what is the unknown going to be? But if you fear the unknown, you will never know if your blessings on the other side of that bridge. You have to walk the journey and go through the storm. And a lot of times we have to continue to be okay in the midst of the storm and know that it's going to be okay. Because a lot of times we sit in the middle of the storm and we're so like, oh my God, this is what's going on. But sometimes that storm is meant to teach you something. It's a lesson. And sometimes we have to sit and listen to the lesson to understand what's happening. Because like during my mission, I didn't think that, at first I was always questioning, why me? Why do I have these diseases? Why did this happen to me? But I had to stop asking those questions. I had to understand that the vision was bigger than for me. This storm and tragedy and testimony that I went through, the story wasn't for me. It was for me to go through it, to be able to help others walk the path of what that they may be going through. I had to go through it to understand it, to be able to guide them through.
Ooh, yeah. An experienced guide makes all the difference. And so I praise you for standing up, following through, and now reaching back to help others come through it. That's real charity. That's real love. That's real service. That's truly being that beacon and shedding off that mask. So you've got broken pieces of the mask all around, and people are like, all right, now what? What are some of the things that you share with them?
I taught them, like in it, I talked about, embracing yourself, because in the moments of that, the pieces of shedding, you have to pick those up. You have to not pick up the masses, but pick up your heart of the broken pieces that you had that was broken, and now put it back together. Allow yourself to enjoy life. Allow yourself to be happy. Allow yourself to trust again. Allow yourself to know what truly to smile and really mean to be smiling, not smiling because you feel that you needed to smile because that's what I needed to do to go outside. Like, to have peace is a real true joy, and it's an amazing thing, but you have to choose to have it. You have to choose what you're gonna allow into your circle. You gotta choose who sits at your table. You have a choice to decide on who's around you and who don't deserve to be with you.
That's right. That's so empowering that you have the choice. You really do. Shana, this is amazing. And I think the simplicity of it, yet the power of it and the impact is real. We see comments here just popping up all over the place. I love this comment, shifted, right?
Yeah.
Because when you have made that decision, things actually shift. And if you've ever done a little test with this, like you've shifted, and then maybe you try to replay your sob story or whatever, and you're trying to refeel those feelings, it's almost laughable. You're like, I can't go back. I've moved on. And wow, you can really just let things go. So I love that. Well, in our last few minutes here together, what is it that you'd love to share with our audience tonight before we close it up?
I want them to always remember, don't let fear be the reason why you don't continue on to do anything great. Like, a lot of times we stop because something happened in our lives, or we've been through something, and we may feel that we might can't love again, or we can't trust again, or that, but within power, within faith, within forgiveness and healing, you can do all things. You just got to want to do the work to get this process. A lot of times the work does not seem easy. Please believe. I'm letting you know it's not easy, but there is a light on the other side of that bridge. There is a whole nother story waiting for you to begin your chapter. You don't have to stay in that same book story. You can change it up. It's okay. You just got to be ready to do the work.
Love it. I love the accountability that you offer there, is that it does take work. And I think a lot of us are willing to take on the work, the fears, the pain, and the unknown. And sometimes we want that guarantee. Like, so if I do this, it's not going to hurt. You're straight up saying, oh, it's going to hurt, but I'm going to be with you. But I'm going to be with you. You're not going to be alone with it.
You're not alone.
Right. And I think that allows us to maybe take those shaky baby steps at first.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like you said, when you get on the other side, you almost always look back and go, like, yes, I can't believe
Yes.
it. It actually worked.
Listen, yes.
It is amazing. It is. Lori says, hope. That's right.
Absolutely.
Yep, for sure. Well, this has been a powerful evening, and I'm so glad that you were able to kind of change a few things and pop back in here. We kept things rolling, and it is exciting to see. And Nora says, self-discipline, release the fear. Yeah, for
Yes.
sure. That is excellent. So where can we get a hold of your book? Where can we find you? Shout us out so that people can connect with you.
You can get both of my books. They are both on Amazon. They are both on Barnes and Noble's platform, and they're also on all the other platforms as well. You can also contact me. I do have signed copies. I just got them also if you're in Texas or if you're in Mississippi. They're about to be in the bookstores out there as well. Also, if you want to find me, you can find me on Facebook at Shana Gourdine author, or Shana Master Motivation. Or if you want to go to my page, which is called Victory of the Mind, where we do Testimonial Tuesdays. You can find me also on Instagram as Shana Gourdine author, and my website is www.theladybehindthemask.com, or my email, which is sgourdine16@gmail.com.
And that's the one we've got running right there on the ticker. So connect with her, reach. She has got the strength. She's got a testimony. She's got a plan. She's got a way. And she's got questions to really help you take off that mask and find that courage to move ahead and move forward. Thank you so much tonight, Shana. Thank you, everybody else who's joined with us live. This has been fantastic. We will see you. Bye, everyone.